Evidence of what it calls the appalling abuse of at least 1,400 children over a period of 16 years, from 1997 to 2013.
Ik vind dat u daar een ernstige inbreuk op maakt door maar net te doen alsof de islam een verwerpelijke godsdienst is.
Kunnen moslims niet... Ik wil hier even op reageren. Ik wil hier echt even op reageren. De heer Cohen zegt dat de islam eigenlijk niet anders is dan andere godsdiensten. En meneer Cohen, hoe kan het dan dat ik nu al bijna 6 jaar lang bij ieder publiek optreden, ook nu terwijl ik tegenover u sta, een debat moet voeren met een kogelvrij vest aan en u niet? En weet u waarom dat is, meneer Cohen? Omdat mensen die kritiek durven te hebben op de islam, die worden of vermoord of die krijgen honderden doodsbedreigingen per jaar. En de mensen die dat niet doen, de mensen die knuffelen met de islam, die kunnen van hun vrijheid genieten. En ik gun dat u. Maar denkt u daar eens over na. De islam is geen vredelievende en makkelijke religie. De islam is een totalitaire, gewelddadige, intolerante ideologie.
Both George W. Bush and Barack Obama have declared that Islam is a religion of peace. Anjem Chowdhury begs to differ.
You can't say that Islam is a religion of peace, because Islam, it does not mean peace. Islam means Islam submission. So the Muslim is the one who submits. You know, there's a place for violence in Islam. There's a place for jihad in Islam.
Chowdhury is
not appear that there's any kind of an effort up there yet. Now remember, oh my God.
Oh my God.
That looks like a second plane.
Has
I did not see a plane go in.
Coming in of an explosion at Liverpool Street Station here in London.
On that old gate, I can confirm a bomb damage to train, one carriage completely wiped out, at least 9 people very seriously injured and trapped, 2 confirmed fatalities.
There's Lester Holt.
We're coming on the air to tell you about a situation unfolding right now in Paris where there have been a number of apparent attacks, or as police are calling them, incidents.
The latest on those terror attacks that unfolded in Brussels, Belgium this morning at around 3 a.m. Eastern time during their morning rush hour. This is the scene as it unfolded. Terrified passengers running for their lives at the airport.
There's been a devastating terrorist attack in Spain. Without warning, a coordinated series of rush hour explosions struck 3 train stations in Madrid. At least 173 people were killed and hundreds wounded by the bombings, which come just days before a national election.
We came to the place in front of the church and there were so many men. We didn't even see so many men at one place in our lives, so we recognized that something was wrong. And then 20 or 30 men, foreign men, of course, surrounded us and we couldn't even move anymore.
ألمانيا الحنونة التي تريد اللاجئين من سوريا والعراق ومن لاجئين فلسطين في الشام إخصابهم ويبحثون عن إخصاب عندنا. سنخصبهم وسوف ننزل وسوف ننجب منهم لأننا سوف نفتح بلادهم.
I wasn't
wasn't sure what they were marching for, but tensions were running high.
Your sister, brother! Your mother! Where is the shame? How dare they touch our woman?
It turns out the demo was in response to the arrest of local woman Mona Thorney, whose husband set off a bomb in Stockholm in 2010. I cannot believe this. I've never seen anything on this scale before, and it breaks my heart to think.
It's always busy at this market on a Sunday, and from the looks of it, you could think this is Tehran or Beirut rather than the French capital.
This Paris neighborhood stands just a stone throw away from the famous Eiffel Tower, but hardly anyone imagined just 20 years ago that the native French population would be finding itself in a rapidly decreasing minority here.
Donald J. Trump is calling for a total and complete shutdown of Muslims entering the United States until our country's representatives can figure out what the hell is going on.
In your own country, in the Netherlands, Muslims who are moderate, law-abiding, peaceable people living in a democracy and accepting the rules of a democracy.
The fact that in our societies there are a majority of the Muslims that are in fact not terrorists. But I know that if the amount of them will grow and if their culture will become more dominant, that it will change, and that the concept of taqiyya that they are stating now, by not really saying and showing often who they are, will change if they become stronger. I remember reading a book called The River War by Winston Churchill. It was published in 1899, and Winston Churchill at that time said very clearly that Mohammedism is a militant faith and we may lose our civilization in Europe. And unfortunately what I see today, that we have a total lack of political leadership. The leaders in Europe and in the European countries are not behaving like Churchill, they are behaving like Chamberlain, selling out with the enemy, which is Islam, selling out our culture, our identity. And I'm a politician that stands up and says, enough is enough. Islam is not part of our culture, should never be, and will never be.
But here to noise and mayhem, shouting and fighting with security guards in the dock. But in the end, the killers of soldier Lee Rigby were forced to face justice for their actions.
This is an NBC News special report. Terror in Boston. Here's Brian Williams.
And good afternoon from the Back Bay section of Boston, just blocks away from the scene of yesterday's dual terrorist bombings at the end of the Boston Marathon.
A mass shooting has reportedly taken place at a nightclub in Orlando, Florida. According to local media, a lone gunman attacked the Pulse, a gay nightclub in the city, and is now holding a number of people hostage.
You can assert until you're blue in the face that these are peaceful protests, but your supporters were heard shouting racist abuse. How do you explain that?
What racist abuse? You know,
I can't say it
we've just been talking
now
about
at this time on television.
We've been talking about racism. I'm from Luton Town. You're talking about racism, okay?
There is no racial tensions in the town I come from. When David Cameron says multiculturalism has failed, Sikhism, Hinduism, Jews, they haven't failed to integrate into society. Islam has failed. When we talk against an ideology, if I'm against Scientology, are you going to call me a racist? I oppose the Islamist ideology. That does not make us racist. You can't talk about what we said that was racist. If you take these people's careers away and their money away, they won't be sitting there. I'm a volunteer, okay? There's nothing stronger than the heart of a volunteer. What has happened to me through having this opinion and speaking out the way I do, it's destroyed my life, it's destroyed my wife's life, it's destroyed my mother's life. I live with constant death threats. I've got some of them here if you want to read when we talk about a two-tier policing system. I have to wear a bulletproof vest. I've got people wanting to murder me and massacre me.
Well, then stop being a racist and a bigot.
Racist? Can you please explain one thing I've ever said?
I am a British citizen. I was born in this country, and I do not spout off rubbish like you do. Okay?
No, what am I saying that's rubbish?
I haven't got death threats. Do you know why? It's because I'm a nice person.
Please explain.
If
you talk against Islam, you'll have death threats. Right? Please explain what I've said that's racist. Please explain.
What you've done is...
No, please explain what I've said that's racist.
I'll tell you what's racist.
No, she's called me a racist.
Okay, well...
Please explain. Please explain.
Grania will pick it up.
So you're not going to explain.
What you've done is you've taken a community with, hundreds of thousands of members...
Billions of people.
And you've picked like a tiny minority, and you've said they're all like that. I think that's the slightly racist part.
You're
What's racist? What race is Islam?
Against all Muslims.
No, I'm not against all Muslims.
Yes,
I got married last year. I had 4 Muslims at my wedding.
I
had 4 Muslims at my wedding.
I'm not racist. Admit your true colours.
Excuse me. You think that just because you want to call us racist or extremists or far right, what have I said that's racist?
I heard you on Radio 4 the other day saying that you are a peaceful movement, okay, and you are not against violence.
You still haven't explained what I said that was racist.
Have you actually looked at your own personal
You still
record?
haven't explained what I said about racism.
You've actually been convicted of thuggery,
what I've said
and you're
that
a
was
football
racist.
hooligan.
So
how can you come on to Radio 4 and say
Please explain what
that
I said. Please explain what I've said that's racist.
Movement.
You stood